Ever wish you had someone to tell you the truth about what it takes to run a successful business and live a fulfilling life? Well, amiguita, you've come to the right place. So grab your favorite cafecito or cocktail, your courage, and let's get to work. I'm Jenna Sabores, a therapist, business strategist, mindset coach for entrepreneurs, and a feisty Latina from Miami. And I'm determined to teach you the exact tools you need to stop settling and start kicking some serious derriere. What do you say? Are you in? Then let's get started. Welcome to Latinas Empowering Latinas podcast. In my clinical training as a therapist, we're taught how to do what we do seamlessly. After all, people are coming to us, the experts, for help because we know it all and we know how to fix your problem. As I prepared for this episode, I realized that the therapeutic profession, while beautiful and well-intentioned, only hindered my emotional growth because I had to be perfect for my patients. I have to look impeccably professional. Hair, check. Makeup, check. Perfect shade of blush silk shirt that's soft and airy, check. Unwrinkled and dry cleaned, check. Not see-through, check. Perfect black pencil skirt, check. Past knee length, check. Listen, respond, don't share personal life, check. Oh my God. Talk about pressure and so unrealistic. So I wanted to dedicate this episode to progress, not perfection. And I wanted to show you a little bit of exactly what it is that I do when I'm coaching my entrepreneurs when they're working on new projects. Since my childhood, I've always strived and poured all of my energy to overachieve. And as a result, there has never, ever been anything in my entire life that I wanted that I have not attained. I'm not sharing this to be snotty or to be pompous, but I cannot think back to any moment in my life where there was not one thing that I wanted that I really didn't get. And it's because once I set my mind to something, there is no telling me no. There is no failing. There is a few tries, but it will happen. And I guarantee you that this comes from my very stubborn, overachieving mom who did that her entire life. So to overshare, but this may give you a little bit more about my personality. My parents started dating when my mom was 13. My mom's parents moved to Florida, where I was eventually born. And in between, my father, because they met in New Jersey, stayed up north. And they still wanted to be together. So at some point, they thought about getting married. My mom was 16 years old. And she went to my grandparents, who of course said, absolutely not, you're too young. And she must have pursued the situation. And they finally looked at her and said, fine, once you finish high school, you can get married. Well, do you know what she did, guys? She went to night school and she finished early. Yes, she finished high school at 16 because she had it set in her mind that she wanted to get married to my father. And the only way that was going to happen was if she graduated high school. So she did. If you need to know a little bit about who I am and where I come from, that's a little snippet. This is also the mother who started me off in school early because she felt that I was ready. And I know there's a lot of mixed reviews about this, especially in 2021, but I was 5 or 6 years old. She felt that I was ready. I had been in preschool and pre-preschool and I was ready, and she went, public school wouldn't take me because I didn't meet the age cutoff. So she went to a private school in Miami and she presented and she said, she's ready. I'd like her to start. I'd like her to start here. I'd like her to start first grade. And they said, well, she's still too young. She doesn't meet the cutoff. And my mom goes, I understand. Do you know what? Give her a chance. If she fails, then that's okay. She'll just repeat the year. And since it was a private school, they didn't have to follow the same rules. And I'm sure they were happy to accept her money. So guess what happened? She pushed. I got into first grade and I made it. And ever since then, I've been a year ahead. And I share this story because this is where I get my mindset of once you want something, you can push through. However, I also want to highlight the difference between progress and perfection. As I just shared, I am the overachiever of overachievers. I started second grade at 5 years old. I graduated high school at 17 with honors. I was on my own at 17 in college with a full tuition scholarship, graduated with honors from college while finishing a semester early, received a scholarship at my prestigious alma mater. The list goes on and on. Everything had to be perfect. My grades had to be perfect. My assignments were completed before they were due. They were months early. There were even times in college that I submitted papers to my favorite English professor, who was real and raw and offered us the opportunity for constant feedback. There was a paper that I probably wrote and resubmitted, poor woman, about 10 times. I'm not exaggerating. I wanted the perfect grade. And the more I worked on it, the more my grade improved until I decided that it was as good as I could possibly make it. And it was. I earned my A plus. It wasn't until this very moment that I realized my professor's strategy wasn't about perfection. Her strategy was about progress and skill. The more I attempted to perfect the paper, the more I was learning. It was actually genius of her. The message I want to relay to you is that if you try to be perfect, which is completely impossible and unsustainable, you're never going to start. In life, in entrepreneurship, in relationships, you're going to make mistakes. Things are going to get ugly. You're not going to look your best. You're not going to be smoothing your emails. You're not going to create the perfect online course the first time around. You're not going to always catch the typo in the post you made. You're going to reread and rewrite things, and you're still going to make mistakes. It's called being human. As you're listening to this, I can guarantee that there has to be at least 10 things in your life that you haven't even attempted because you're so scared you'll fail. You haven't started because you want to do it right, the right way, the perfect way. And if you continue on this path, my friend, it's never going to get done. I want you to repeat after me. Progress, not perfection. I want you to make this your new mantra. You're not perfect. You are perfectly imperfect. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to fall. You're going to fail. The difference between someone who is successful and someone who fails is resilience. It's what you do after you fall that makes all the difference in the world. I'm going to walk you through highlights of a coaching call that I had recently with a coaching client that is an entrepreneur who was working through creating her first launch for her first digital course. I promised to honor her, and she honored and respected and allowed me to share with you snippets of advice, encouragement, tips, and tricks that I shared with her. So you're not going to be hearing her questions, and we've done our very best to edit out and make it sound flowy and smooth. But I wanted to share with you my words of wisdom when she continued to doubt her ability to move forward in her first live launch. And I myself just went through an incredible program because, as you know, I am the forever student. My tia Lydia always tells me, you have how many masters and how many bedrooms? And her joke is, you always are a lifelong learner. In fact, my father calls me the forever student because I always love to learn and absorb and learn to teach others how to do the same. I go through this course. I launched my first course. There were bumps and there were highs. And this is natural to any process. Because my specialty is really working on mindset, really understanding the fabric of people and how they work, I spoke with this other classmate, I'll say, of mine, who is really feeling stuck in moving forward, who is about to launch any day. And she really wanted to do so many things. And she was really downing herself and she was downing her confidence. But I want you to listen to the next few moments of the rest of this episode that is specifically for those who are doubting themselves, with a special highlight for my live launchers for any digital course that they have coming up. And even if you've launched already, I know you're going to find value in this.
Okay, so the first thing I will say is it doesn't matter how long you have done anything or how long you've been in an industry or how long you've been a parent or you've been married. When it is you and you are in it, it is very hard to feel or see your way out of it. So the first misconception that I want to rule out for everybody is that just because I've always done this doesn't mean that it's going to feel comfortable or confident. chances are you're doing something either differently, in a different way, or something out of your comfort zone. You may have 20 years experience in what you're doing or what you're teaching, but this is the very, very first time you have a digital course. And that's exciting and it's scary, but the scary comes from it being new. And guess what? After you go through this first launch and you have your course together, you're no longer a virgin. And all of these fears will move past you the same way they did after you started your business. So that's the first thing. I need you to know, just because you bring 20 years experience, I'm not minimizing that, but I don't want you to feel frustrated with yourself because it doesn't feel this easy now, because you're doing something completely different. I'm a stepmom and I've been working with kids for over 20 years, and I have 2 toddlers of my own and they're 18 months apart. And I will tell you, when I had my daughter, it was, don't put her on the floor. Be careful. Let me sterilize. Where is the grocery cart cover? Where is the foam to put down that I'm going to pick up after we play so nobody walks on it with the germs? By the time my son came around, I was like, 5-second rule. And I want you to think of that, not because I love them less, but because I was more confident and comfortable in what I knew, because I had already passed through the unknown. So you are in a place of unknown now, and that's okay. It's exciting, right? I want you to feel that same excitement. Remember, even when you gave birth, you're like, oh my God, I have a baby. Oh my God, I'm responsible for another human being. You're looking for support with people that are surrounding you. And for most entrepreneurs, unless they're inside a hub of other entrepreneurs, most of their family members, friends, if they're not creative people, and creative, I mean entrepreneur minded, it's a different fabric and caliber of people, and they don't get it. And whether they're supportive or they're not supportive, whether they're saying, hey, it's no big deal, you're going to do great, they don't know what it's like to be in your shoes, because you have so much energy and emotion wrapped up into this project. So the first thing is, you can love them dearly. And the way that you can have them support you is by the things that they can understand, right? So whether it's like, hey, can you take care of dinner? Hey, I need some quiet space. Hey, I really need to sleep. So you need to delegate out to those people that don't get it, the things that they can get for you. Something else you have to remember is, no matter how much people around us love us, and it's the same thing as it's a different type of fabric, they can have potential, they can be great, they can be supportive. But you also, that's a mindset as well. You can't hope or wish that they are as excited or as energized about it as you are, because the only person you're going to hurt or disappoint is yourself. That doesn't mean that they are not excited for you, but I want you to spend less energy on looking at those things and more energy on what you need to get done. So let's talk about the overwhelm, the burned out. I just finished going through my first official DCA launch, and I did it. But the reason I mentioned that is I know exactly what you're describing, because we all feel it. Let's break down exactly where you're feeling burned out. Let's talk about exactly what you're doing, what you need to get done, what supports you've implemented to get those things done. So let's get to work. The second you let go of the attachment and the pressure you're putting on yourself and this course to be perfect, the second it will feel so different for you. I need you to think about why you wanted to create this to begin with. And it's not about, it doesn't matter if anybody buys. Let's put in our mindset that you are just here to serve. And it's a bonus if they buy. It's a bonus, but that's not what your goal is. I know that's your goal, but I want you to change that mindset. I really do, because once you remove that pressure, it is so different. And I tell you, because it happened to me. It's happened to me on a lot of different things. The second thing I hear you saying as well is, as people that are used to serving and giving, it is so very hard to ask. And you're concerned about asking for the sale. But I need you to understand something as well. You are not asking for the sale. You are serving them. You are teaching them. You are supporting them. You are giving them your time. And then you are offering to help them if they want. You're not selling. You're offering an opportunity. And once you feel the difference in that, it's not going to feel like sales. You're adding too much to your plate. Nobody's telling you to do this. You're doing it to yourself. So I need you to take a step back for a second. And out of that long list of things you need to do, are there things you're adding that you don't need this time around? You do not have to do it yet. Focus on your launch. Do you know when I started recording my course? After my launch, my master classes were done 4 days before it was released. And I record them every week before. Is that the best way? Not, maybe. Amy suggests a greater buffer. But why do you need to have it done now? You are trying to think of way too many things. It's like you're worried about what you're making for tomorrow's breakfast and you haven't even started today's lunch. But I don't know if you hear that you're telling yourself, I'm not expecting a high turn up rate. You're telling yourself that. Would you go to your kids and say, pick up your hair, but I'm not going to expect you to look pretty today? Study for your test, but I don't expect you to do well. Would you ever do that to them? Why are you doing it to yourself? There's no need to do any of that. But listen to what you're telling your body, listen to what you're telling your brain. Your mouth is very powerful. And you are telling this to yourself. Okay, so we're taking that off the table too. You're not having a low show up rate. You have 200 people and you're going to create your sequence. That is what we're doing. Okay, who is creating your sequence for you? Why don't you hire somebody to put it? Email it to them later. And if you have to set it up, you can either have your tech person draw up the email and you can have the person that creates it draw up the plan. But that's what I'm saying. They don't need to get it the second they're on with you. They can even receive an email and say, thank you so much for showing up live. Put in your information so you can even just have them do a landing page to say, thanks for showing up live. You're going to post a link and they put in their email and we'll be sending you your your show up live bonus, in your email. Be on the lookout in the next few days. You don't need to have it ready for your webinar. And remember, when you're saying, I have this show up bonus, I have this fast action bonus. Number one, your ICA doesn't know what any of that means. Number one. And number two, if they do, they don't know what that was. You can change it. Your fast action bonus can be a repurposed resource you already have. And your show up live, whatever. And your fast action can be a free coaching call with you, an add-on. You can make it whatever you want. It's, your people. If that's too much for you, it's too much. You make it whatever you want. Maybe it's a pre-recorded video of you saying something that will guide them in something they didn't know. You're overthinking this because you've already been where they need to go. They're not at your caliber yet, and not in a bad way. You're overthinking the complexity of it, but you have to remember, where are they in their process? You just finished admitting that even though you've done Facebook ads before, and it's not judgment, but that you wasted 2 days. What could you have done with those 2 days? Even if you slept so you could be fresh for what you were doing. But don't be frustrated. Just take off of your plate. And that's the thing. And when you don't have control over those things, it feels very chaotic. But again, I would then definitely, if you can, I know you can't, you're already committed to this, but in the future, definitely don't add on things that are variables. You want things that you can control, right? If you're hosting a class, you know what you're doing, you know your panel, you know what's going on. But when you're going to other people's events right before your launch, that's energy you should be spending on your pre-launch. That's like torture for you. And the energy you need to go up with when you do that, when you meet with your team, is like, guys, I'm so excited. We've all worked so hard. We have 8 founding members we're going to love up in a few days. And no matter what, we've done amazing and we know how to do it next time. That is such a different presentation than, I hope I do well because they're really counting on me and they've poured so much energy and we've worked so hard and I don't want them to worry about me and I don't want, listen to all the things you're telling your mind, it's probably not going to work. And I feel really bad for everybody who's going to feel really bad for me. How is that helping you? So there's like, we're going to have an amazing trip, or we're going to have an awesome time no matter what we do, as long as we're together. Or there's going to be like, well, the trip may not be good, but at least we're going away. Those are 3 very different ways of thinking about something. for everybody. Are you sure? What are you doing leading up for the next few days once all of this is done? Are you having like a quiet space? Are you getting to like sleep in or like what are you doing to prepare for these next few days? Because it is intense, it's exciting, but it's intense leading up to it. And because you're giving so much of yourself when you're presenting, you're kind of like emotionally tapped out at the end. So you want to make sure that you are building in and scheduling in not more things for you to worry about, but things to like regroup after. So whether it's like pizza night with your family or a glass of wine with your husband or whatever it is in between, I don't want you to add more things in between all of these. Like there should be nothing else going on. When you're trying to do all the things at once, you dilute everything you're doing. So I would rather have you focus all of your energy on your launch, not your course. We're not there yet. On your launch and make it a really good launch. And every single idea, and I need you to promise me though, every single idea that pops up into your head that you want to do for this launch, you're going to say, yeah, it's a great idea. Genesis told me I'll do it next launch. Save it for the next launch.
I want you to make the most perfectly imperfect attempt at the effort of trying to do something that you have been waiting to do because you wanted it to be perfect. I want you to understand that whether you feel like you failed or you succeed, without a doubt, what you have done when you finally accomplish this is that you've grown. That was it. It was a very intense coaching call. And I hope that you were able to access exactly the key points that I was trying to share, because there is so much that you are meant to share with the world. And I don't want your thought of perfection to isolate you from moving forward. I'm a big believer that everything that we put out into the universe, somebody is meant to hear. And I'm hoping that the message you are meant to hear today comes across to you. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am so excited you tuned in. The best way to find out the second a new episode is released and receive all the valuable tools and actionable steps I share is to subscribe to the podcast, so make sure you do that. Sending you so much love until next time. Bye.